One of the first things that any writer has to consider before putting pen to paper is the question of audience. Who am I speaking to? Who am I addressing? And that question of audience is also important for us to consider as we read and study and try to interpret the Torah. Who was being spoken to at any given moment? In the beginning of Parshas Kedoshim, we are told, Daber el kol adas b'nei Yisrael, that Moshe is to speak to the entire congregation of the children of Israel, ve'amarta aleihem, and say to them, Kedoshim tihiyu. You shall be kadosh, you shall be holy. And once we're aware of audience, so we'll notice something very strange. As Rav Shamshon Raphael Hirsch points out, there's only one other mitzvah in the Torah that is addressed to Kol Adas B'nai Yisrael. And that is the mitzvah of Karban Pesach. And now that we've noted this connection, we're struck with a question. What binds these two mitzvahs together? Why are these two mitzvahs uniquely addressed to this particular audience? And that's a very hard question to answer at first blush. I would argue that these two mitzvahs are actually kind of opposites. They sit at opposite ends of a spectrum, to be sure. Participating in the Karban Pesach was an expression of participating in Jewish life, in identifying with the Jewish people. It was casting your lot with Jewish destiny. In a certain respect, it was getting on the bus, starting the journey. It's the baseline. In a word, it's the floor. On the other hand, Kedoshim Tihiyu is kind of the ceiling. It represents the ultimate goal of religious life. As the Ramban says, this is a kind of meta commandment that says, not only do you have to keep all of the particulars of every single mitzvah and be punctilious in your observance of every single mitzvah, but you also have to make sure that the totality fits together, that in some wholesome and organic sense, you are being good and following the spirit of the Torah as well. It's the highest point. In this respect, the English word holy is actually very useful. Holy deriving from the German heilig, which means whole or complete. It reflects a kind of perfection. It's the end goal. It's the final chapter of Rav Moshe Chaim Luzzatto's Mesilas Yesharim, the final stage in religious development. And so it seems very odd that we would couple these two mitzvos together in this way, that they're both addressed to the entire nation. These two mitzvos seem to be completely different, worlds apart. But I would like to suggest that that's actually exactly the point. We're meant to understand that just as the Karban Pesach, the baseline, the floor of religious life, is intended to be addressed, it is for absolutely every single Jewish man and woman, so too when it comes to the ceiling. So too when it comes to Kedoshim Tihiyu, for striving for that level of holiness. To quote Rav Hirsch again, he says, no position in life, no gender, no age, no degree of fortune is excluded from the call to the very height of absolute morality, of this kind of perfect religious experience. Kedoshim Tihiyu is a call, in a word, to be spiritually ambitious. No one can say, yeah, the Karban Pesach, mitzvos like that, that's for everyone, that's for me too. But to be holy, Kedosh, or to be a kadosh, kedusha, that's for people in that community. Kedusha, sanctity, that's for a person who had a certain lived experience, a certain kind of upbringing, a certain type of family, a certain type of education. That's not for me. You can't say that. Daber el kol adas b'nei Yisrael. Speak to the entire congregation of the children of Israel, ve'amarta aleihem, and say to absolutely everyone, Kedoshim tihiyu. Holiness is for you too. The height of Jewish experience, the ceiling, is for you too. You are the audience. The biggest enemy, of course, of this kind of spiritual ambitiousness is routine, is saying, this is my life, this is who I am, this is always what I do. Well, the good news is, at least in this respect, the good news is no one right now is in their routine. And so it's a wonderful opportunity to start thinking about, well, what are my spiritually ambitious goals? Take this Shabbos, hear those words, listen to those words, I suppose, read those words, and then hear them, sit with them. Kedoshim tihiyu. You shall be holy. Recognize that you are the audience, you are the intended focus of those words. Think of where this might take you, what might happen next after this all calms down, and maybe even before then, starting today. What is that goal that you are going to set for yourself? And let us not let this crisis go to waste. I wish you and your families a good Shabbos.